What is going on, guys? John from Paramecia Fancast here. Welcome back to a little bit different of a video. Franz is out of town currently, so there's no new episode of the podcast. It was a break week, so we got fortunate. I just kind of wanted to come and bring a little One Piece TCG into the podcast channel to hold you guys over until the new episode next week. I am going to do a deck list video, specifically with my green-purple DOFFY. You can see I got the alt art leader. Super cool. I got second place at locals this past week, which was awesome. I've been going there for the past couple weeks, past couple months. I've been getting blown up by Whitebeard and just some other decks. It's all been a learning process, but I went there and I played 2 mirror matches and 2 Whitebeards. I won all 4 of those games, and then the final game of the last round of the locals was against the Rob Lucci. And I'm gonna be honest, I know the mistake I made. I at the very end swung with Luffy when I should have not, because then I would have been able to defend all of his attacks. And I could have won. But I got second place, $50 in store credit, so I got these bad boys, 2 OP01 Laws. They're slightly dropping in price, but still they're hovering around like 20 something. I'm so happy to get these because I want to get at least 2 more, so I can have a full playset. I don't know if a full playset will be good or not in Doflamingo family for OP05, but just to have them is good enough. Plus, they're like, these are some of the best green cards that you can splash into any deck. If I'm playing Law, Supernova, Engine, these are good. But let's just go through it. So I have let's go through the Dawn deck. I have only 2. I want to get eventually all. I only have 1 regular Dawn. When Structure Deck 10 comes out, I'm going to have a Dawn deck of all the hollow ones, but I have a lot of the rare Dawn. These are from the boxes I got from OP04, these VV ones. OP01, this was a random pack of OP01 I got, and I managed to get that, which is cool. And then my OP0... Did I get one from OP03? Yeah, from OP03, from my box from OP03. The Sanji and Baratier. And then these are from the double pack that came out for OP04. I would like to eventually get a full set of 10 of these Dawn. I think I like this Dawn a lot. There's a Dawn coming out that's a Japanese one, I think, that has Yamato on it, and I want that one too. But this one with the Rocinante and Law, I love this one. I want a full set of 10 of these. But let's just get going with the deck review, because I have, a lot of different cards that, so I'm running green-purple DOFFY, film DOFFY, obviously. That's like the most optimized way to play DOFFY right now. I feel like DOFFY, having access to both the green and purple colors of film is just insanely good, especially in this format. I mean, you get access to 2 searchers, a lot of 2K counters, and honestly, a lot of really good cards. I feel like the film engine, specifically the combination of purple and green, is just really good this format. So we're gonna be doing that. I'm frantically buying time because I didn't organize my deck beforehand, which I should have. But maybe I will cut this part out and we will go to a screen with all of the cards, which I think is what I'm going to do, okay? Alright, so let's get started with the deck list. First off, I have, let me hide this out of view. We're playing 4 Buena Festas. 2K counter, film searcher. Actually, let's just lay out all the 2K counters of the deck. I feel like that's going to be way easier to view. So I have 4 Buena Festas, 4 Shikis, 4 Choppers. The Chopper, very circumstantial in his use on the field. 99.9% of the time, I use him as a 2K counter. Against Law and like Zoro, it's good to have him on the field. I don't know if you could see his effect. Oh, it's like super blurry. This camera sucks. Dawn times 1 when attacking. You can rest one opponent's character, cost 2 or less. Pretty good. Pretty good for dealing with chump blockers and low, 1 cost blockers like Chopper and in other matchups. Shiki, 2 costs 3k. Again, almost even more so exclusively used as just a 2k counter, a searchable 2k counter in the deck. Every once in a while, if it's late game, I mean, it's good to have. You could use his trigger if you get him on life late game, just to have another body on the board. He takes 2 Dawn to get to 5k, so I mean, if you have your full film board filled with, all these other cards, you just give him 2 Dawn, and you can just swing 5, 5, 5, 5, 5 over and over. Pretty good. Buena Festa. 2k counter, search top 5 cards, take a film card, the rest go to your bottom. I mean, self-explanatory. These guys are just insanely good. And you're going to be seeing them a lot in every game, and so defensively, I don't think there's ever a point in this deck where you're going to feel like you're like completely out of it. Next, let's go through the purple package that I have of film cards. So first, we're going to have 4 copies of Uta Blocker, obviously. I'm only playing 2 Guilt of Sorrow, and the spice of the deck, 2 6-cost Shiki. Let me go through each one. So, Uta, really good as part of, I mean, this is the staple 7 or 8 Dawn turn, Luffy into Uta, 2 blockers in the field. Uta's ability is really, really good. So she's a blocker, 5k blocker, 1k counter in hand. On block, Dawn -1, so you get rid of 1 mana. Rest one of your opponent's characters with a cost 5 or less. This comes up so often, and it can be used very offensively or defensively, and it's really good. They attack with... it really makes the opponent have to sequence their attacks out better, because if they don't, you get to block. You get to neuter some of their offense that turn. For instance, let's say Katakuri swings at me. Okay, I block with Uta. I'll Dawn -1. Their Parasparrow that's on the field is now rested. It can't attack me this turn. Or their, they don't have that much of a board, but they have a Sanji blocker that's causing me trouble. Block Katakuri, Dawn -1, rest the Sanji blocker. Now next turn, they don't have a blocker and I can freely swing at them. Or next turn, let's say it's like a monster, like a character that really is threatening me, like a Parasparrow or something. I can swing at it, really good. I think the ability is really good in its usage. It really allows you to take advantage of the game state. It's really malleable in that way. You can choose offensive or defensive uses of it. It's really good. Guilt of Sorrow, I feel like he needs no introduction in the film deck. His ability is very simple. He's 5 cost, 6k power. When he's attacking, Dawn -2, draw 2 cards. He's Pot of Greed if Pot of Greed was a monster card, right? He's good in the deck. The thing about him I run him at 2 is because he has no counter power, and every single removal spell is going to be targeting him. Every single KO effect, everything is like, to establish him on board and defend him is really hard, but if you get it off, I mean, it's really good. You know, draw 2. If you get this once, it's really good. If you get it a second turn, like, you're in the best state of the game, right? The second I added is Shiki from the film deck. 6 cost, 7k Shiki, and his ability is also really simple, just an innate ability, not when attacking or anything. If you have 8 or more Dawn on your field, this card cannot be KO'd in battle. This is gonna make this card's existence on the field is gonna give your opponent a choice. I think the main thing of the film Doflamingo deck is, if you're able to build your board out, what you want is to have so many options available to you on the board that your opponent chooses what you do, right? What I mean by that is, let's say I have Uta, Gil, and Shiki on the field. They red rock. What are they gonna red rock? They could get rid of my blocker, but then they're allowing me to have 2 extra cards next turn. And they're keeping Shiki on the board, who's 7k, a measly 3 Dawn he's the same as Luffy. I give him 3 Dawn, that's a 10k swing each and every turn, unless you KO him with an effect, because he can't be killed with battle. You have to remove him on the field with red rock or some kind of KO effect from like black or something. His existence is to sort of inadvertently protect Gil Tesoro and your other options, right? They could get rid of Luffy. If I have, I'll get to him later, but if I have Luffy on the field, Luffy, Uta, and Gil, and Shiki. Okay, they could get rid of Luffy, my 7k blocker. I still have a blocker in Uta, and I still have Shiki. This deck, what it is this deck is like the widest deck in the format. If you've ever heard that terminology, I know, shoutouts to VV Theory, he explains it a lot really well. Building your board wide means for all intents and purposes, getting all 5 slots filled for characters, right? You want all 5 slots of characters out, 4 or 5. I mean, you don't have to be all 5 to be wide, but you want to fill the board with as many characters as possible, and this deck can do that. And what that does, that's like a kind of non-linear defensive strategy in a way. You have so many things on the board that your opponent has to choose how they want to dismantle your board. And their selection of what they want to dismantle first gives you more options to go forward with in the next turn. So I think that this selection of purple cards is really good. I love them. Shiki, I will say, in the Whitebeard matchup, Shiki's really good. He actually, not knowing the effect is what helped win one of the games. There's a card later in the deck that like won the game for me, but the Whitebeard player used Ace, and they gave Uta and Shiki minus 3,000, and then they swung into Shiki, who is rested. And I had already used the Uta ability to block and rest something, and I was like, okay. And then he just kind of looked at me, and I was like, oh, if I have 8 or more Dawn on the field, he can't be KO'd by battle. And I had only used Uta's ability once. I had 9 Dawn. And he was like, oh, crap. He passed turn because he had nothing else. He attacked with everything, thinking he could attack Shiki. 10 cost Doffy, rested like the whole board. It was awesome. It was pretty awesome. Shiki, I want the store championship card of him is like $4. I think I'm gonna buy 2 of them because he's permanent, and I'm keeping him in this deck. He is so good. I'm a believer. Next, let's just go into all the green film cards that I run, the characters. There's 1 purple in here, but you will see why. And the explanation is going to be so stupid. You might love it. So 4 Luffy, 4 Nami, 2 Brook, and Baccarat. Now, okay. The 4 Luffy, 4 Nami, that's like not debatable in this deck. You want to see Luffy's as much as possible because late game, I mean, the combo Luffy, Brook into Nami is like undefeated, right? That combo is so broken. But you could also go Luffy, Brook into Baccarat, who's 3 cost 5k, if you want offense. The reason I picked her over Usopp, who is a 3 cost 5k, the same thing, he's green. She's a waifu. That's pretty much it. I was like, I hate this blank spot on the card, but like, I don't know, Usopp's Usopp. I want some spice, you know? So 3 cost 5k Baccarat. But Luffy, amazing. 7k blocker, 7 cost. Him and Eustace Kid from the structure deck, 7 cost the Eustace Kid, are the only blockers that are higher than 5 cost. This means a lot of rest. They're unable to be hit by a lot of removal and stuff. They need to like use a red rock on him, which is 6 Dawn out of your opponent's turn, which is like, if they're using red rock on him, like I said before, let's say this is your board. If they use red rock on him, cool, I don't have a blocker, but I still have 2 attackers and a searcher in Nami. Insane card that this Luffy is. At some point, I would like to get the max rarity, the alt art of this Luffy, but I like this version. Same thing with the Nami. Nami, 3 cost 5k. On play, 1 Dawn. It's a searcher for film cards, but it's 3 cards deep as opposed to the Buena Festa, which is 5 cards. It's still very helpful with the amount of 2Ks we run in this deck. At the very least, every time I use her, I'm basically always getting a 2K or finding Brook or getting Baccarat or any... Like, her search in this deck is never useless. And having 2 searches is really good, especially hers late game. Late game, you're going to want to conserve all the Buena Festas you get because they're 2k counters. So using her effect to just swing and also get a search is really good. I only run 2 Brook. I've seen a lot of people run like 4-4-4. I think I took out the 2 Brook because I wanted to still run Gil, but I also wanted to try Shiki. And I feel like the 2 Brook, there's never been a game where I like never saw Brook at all. I think 2 is like the perfect number. You could probably get away with 3. If you wanted to get rid of Baccarat and just use 3 Brook instead, you could. Your combo would just be these 3 main guys. But I like having the Usopp or the Baccarat, the 3 cost 5k to summon out with Brook, because if you don't have Nami or you want to go full offensive, you can. These guys are just amazing. They're really good. Like I said, they're the whole strategy of your deck. You want to get Luffy and Nami out because you want to crack some heads open. Okay, so now we're going to get to, for all intents and purposes, the bricks of the deck, I call them, which are the Doflamingo family cards. Because you can't search them yet. Bandai made sure of that because OP05 is when the Doflamingo Searcher comes out. But they're still really good, and they're very unlucky game you'll have that you won't see any of these at all. I've definitely had games. This deck is weird. I've definitely had games where I've passed a few of the 10 cost Doffies or the Sugars, but I digress. So we got 3. I play 3 10 cost Doffies. You could play 4, but again, in this deck, you're going to want, in this deck, I wanted to limit the amount of bricks I had as much as possible. And these Doflamingo cards are like the only bricks I play. For Sugar, and then 2 Diamante. Again, the Diamante and the Sugar, I mean, all of these I really like, right? The Doflamingo is obvious. On play, choose 3 rested leaders or characters, and they stay rested. They do not refresh in the next phase. He's such a good card. A lot of staying power. When you rest the things, when it comes back to your turn, they're still rested. I mean, if you need to clear the board of a problem, put Dawn on him, you can swing into it. He's a 10k, so, I mean, you could just start battering, ramming their life with him. It's really good. He's hard to get rid of, especially with the amount of blockers and defense that this deck can play. The other character, Sugar, she is the best. She's the best card in this entire deck. On play, she can rest anything 4 or lower. And then on your opponent's turn, when they play any character card, you get to rest anything on the field. I think except for, I don't know if it's a leader. No, I think it's just a character, right? Yeah. So on your opponent, when they play a character, you get to rest any other character. So, I mean, simple scenarios. Let's say I play 10 cost DOFFY, rest 3 things, right? On their next turn, if they play a character to try to like establish more on the board, I can rest it instantly. If they play a blocker, it's rested. Even on like a Luffy turn, like a 8 Dawn turn or something, or like on a 5 Dawn turn, like you can play, or like 6 Dawn on a 6 Dawn turn, you could play her, Sugar, rest something, and then play Brook into Nami. It's absolutely insane. She's really good. The whole reason I wanted the laws was because I'm thinking about, I mean, this is already an unsearchable brick anyways, so I'm thinking about replacing it with the laws here, so that Sugar, if Sugar's on the field, or let's say I have Sugar in my hand, and they never got rid of my Buena Festa, right? Let's say Buena Festa's on the field. I can 5 Dawn, play Law, get the 2k counter back into my hand, play the Sugar, activate Sugar effect, rest something, and now I have a blocker, something rested on their field, and a Sugar for defense. And if they summon something and then try to swing into the Sugar, I have a blocker that can defend it. And that's not even getting into if I have events, which we'll get into after this, but this is really good. Right now, I'm sticking with the Diamante. I'm trying it. I just really like the fact that he's a really offensive blocker. His ability is if he has Dawn times 1. At the end of your turn, if you have 2 Dawn up, he becomes active. He doesn't stay rested. This is just so good in every situation. Because of your leader's ability, you're always going to have 2 Dawn up at the end phase, so he always becomes active at the end phase if he has 1, which means he's a 7k swinger during your turn and a 6k blocker on your opponent's turn. The other good thing is if you have him out in the mirror match, it doesn't matter if they rest your Diamante with this, which I had in my first game, they rested Diamante, it doesn't matter, because on my end phase, it forces him to be active, right? So like on my end phase, I still get him back. So if they rest Diamante, just know it's a wasted rest in the mirror match. I had that happen, which is amazing. But yeah, those are the Doflamingo cards, the bricks of the deck as I call them. You never want to see these in the searches. Main rule of thumb is you mulligan until you get one of these in the deck in your hand, a 10 cost, at least one 10 cost. And then as soon as you get all the pieces you need from the searches, I mean, late game you're just searching for 2k counters, but if you get Gil Tesoro on the field, abuse that Gil and draw, because your raw draws are where you're going to get the rest of these. But these are the bricks of the deck, but they're also like needed, so it's weird symbiotic relationship. And then next are the events. 3 Spiderweb, 2 the weak don't have the option to die or whatever it's called, long name, 3 Punk Gibson, and then 2 Paradise Waterfall. Let me switch them around, because these 2 are functionally the same thing. They're a defense counter that restands something. These 5 restands are for your blockers. This allows you to heavily block the board with Luffy. I mean, Paradise Waterfall is plus 2,000, Spiderweb is plus 4,000. So it's either an 1100 block with Luffy or a 900 block with Luffy. Either way, like, insane. If you have Luffy on the board, you can defend anything between just these two. It's crazy. But I play these two, I play 5 of these in total just because I want 5 restands. Also with Uta blocker, you can block with Uta, Dawn -5, get something, rested, and then restand her. Or if you're restanding, let's say you have Sugar on the field, block with Uta, Dawn -1, activate Uta's ability, rest something, play this, you live the attack, and then instead of restanding Uta, restand the Sugar. So now Sugar is safe from all further attacks in that turn, and they have to waste the removal. I've had it. I fought a Queen player a couple weeks back at locals that absolutely had to use a Red Rock 6 Dawn to bottom deck my Sugar because I was doing such a good job of defending it just with my blockers and these 2 cards. I kept restanding Sugar, and every turn he was having to play around Sugar, which is annoying to say the least. Punk Gibson, again, really good defensive card, but rests a character on your opponent's side 4 or less. Absolutely really good in this deck. Specifically because, like I said, like a lot of blockers in the game. A lot of them. I'd say almost 90% of them are 4 cost or less. You think of yellow. The Sanji blocker in yellow, 4 cost. The Pound in yellow is like 3 cost. A lot of blockers in all of these decks are 4 cost. 4 cost or less. There's a couple that are 5 cost, and then obviously, like I said, Luffy and Kid are the outliers at 7 Dawn because they're meant to be like omni blockers. This is good for setting up your next turn. This is good for setting up a 10 cost Doffy play. Let's say they only attack with 2 things. You can maximize your Doffy play by on the last thing, defend whatever they're attacking, and then resting their blocker. Next turn, 10 cost Doffy. Now 3 things are rested, including their blocker, which means they have to take they have to give you cards out of hand, right? Really good. And then the star of the show. This event, a lot of green play. This is a brick, mind you, because it's Doflamingo family. So like all of these are not. There is no good like film. There's Union Armada, which makes things unable to be KO'd at all, which is good. I played it. I still have it in like my side deck because I like to mess around with it. I do like it as a card. Ultimately, I feel like leaning heavily into the restands is better. And also, the Punk Gibson is like amazing to have. And then having these, I think, is just way better. This card single-handedly, like, won me the Whitebeard matchup. Single-handedly this. Because I can build my board under Whitebeard. They don't play that many KO effects, right? They play the Marco, but like that's about it. And even the Marco, I think, isn't the Marco like 3,000 or less or something? They have to, or no, it's 5,000. I don't know. The Marco has like stipulations on it, right? This card won me the first Whitebeard game. On my 6th on turn, I didn't have that much on the board. He played vanilla. I think he played like Speed Jill, or he played some Whitebeard vanilla that was like 6k. Immediately on my turn, played this, rested it and killed it, swung at leader for 6k. I gave up building my board because I wanted to establish. I wanted him the next turn to have to make up for the previous curve. I got rid of his big guy that can't attack. Now the only thing on his turn he has to attack is Whitebeard, and he has to rebuild, right? He either has to play something on the new curve, which means it can't attack until the next turn anyways, which gives me another chance to attack him, or he has to try to play smaller units, which, like, I don't mind because I'll be able to defend against them because my board is already built out, right? This card's really good. And the other secret by this card, it can be played... Oh, God, that's horrible. It can be played on main and counter. On counter, Dude, this card is broken. This card is absolutely broken on counter. Let me paint you a scenario. Whitebeard, Marco, Shanks. Or Whitebeard, Marco, Ace, right? If he attacks with the Whitebeard, I can use this to take out one of the other characters, right? He attacks with Whitebeard to play this on counter. I can rest one of his other characters and kill it, right? But the better use of it on counter, let's say he attacks with my character. Or let's say he attacks with his character. He has Whitebeard, Ace, and Marco. Let's say he attacks with the Ace first, right? He doesn't attack with Whitebeard first, he attacks with Ace. I can rest the leader and kill the Ace attacking, or kill the Marco attacking me. Let's say, because I think Marco's like 6k, can't be hit by this. But let's say, because this kills anything 6k or lower that's rested. If they're attacking you, the card is rested. So they have to structure their offense during the turn with this in mind. And if they don't, you get this is very good board clear. Against Whitebeard, again, let's say he attacks with this character first. I can rest anything, leader or character. So I rest his Whitebeard. He's attacking me with Marco, so Marco is rested. I can kill Marco. So now that's what I did in one game. One game, he swung with Marco, and I said, all right, on counter, I had 5 Dawn up on his turn. I said, okay, I'm resting Whitebeard, so it can't attack me this turn, and I'm killing Marco. So now he has the choice of, okay, he can bring back Marco, but he has to give me a card out of hand, an event card, to bring Marco back, and Marco comes back rested, so the next turn I can just destroy him anyways, you know? And now he has one less event in hand, so when it becomes my turn again and I swing into Marco, like, he might not have another event to defend the Marco with. This card is just amazing. On main, it's really good. Because another scenario you can use this in is, let's say they have a character they attacked with last turn, and then at the end of their turn, they play a chump blocker. Use this on your turn. Rest the blocker, kill the thing that attacked you. You can swing into the blocker if you want. You can just bypass the blocker and go straight for face. This card is amazing. I only played it 2, again, because it's not searchable. When OPO5 comes out and the Doflamingo family finally gets Baby 5, the Searcher, the Doflamingo, I'm gonna keep the film deck, right? But I think my main deck is gonna be Doflamingo family. I don't know if I want to run Rocinante, or I think I'm gonna stay running Doflamingo just because he's so good. But this deck is amazing. I like this deck as it currently stands in this format. I think he's good enough to win, right? It has a fairly good matchup against Whitebeard. I mean, I'm not saying this because I beat my Demon Whitebeard. I think that's more of a personal thing. Like, I beat the guy that had my number for the longest time with Whitebeard at my locals. But I truly believe that this deck can compete with Whitebeard. I mean, you can build out your board and you can put on a lot of offense with, against Whitebeard. And with some of the tech cards that this card has, like this card pool has access to, green and purple, there's a lot of stuff that you can do. In OPO5, we're getting Gamma Knife, which is 2 Dawn event, and then it's Dawn -2, I believe. And it's give any character minus 5,000. That's going to be so good in this deck. Minusing 5,000 on anything is huge. Minus 5,000 on a 10 cost Big Mom, now it's 7,000, which is a lot. But I have Luffy, I have Diamante, I have Shiki, all 7k. I can just keep pinging it, and then God forbid if I have this on the field, I minus 5,000 on it and swing with this. Now they have to defend against, they have to give me at least two or three cards out of hand, right? It's really good. There's another card currently that I can play, Hydra, which is only minus 3,000, which is good, but I'm experimenting with that. I don't know if I'm gonna run it for sure. But yeah, this is the deck. This is the deck that I got second place at locals with. It was an amazing experience. I love my locals. I go there to play every Friday now, and it is just an amazing time. I mean, I can't stress this enough. If you like card games, if you want to get into the One Piece card game, find your closest local scene, and just, get to know the people there and just start playing the game. There's going to be a lot of people that you're going to meet. You're going to get better every single time. And it's just so good. I mean, you'll start talking to people. You start learning how to deck build better. You'll start theory crafting. This game is in such a good spot right now. Player base wise, it's very healthy. Player base wise, we have a lot of players all the time. So I highly suggest, because I'm obsessed with card games and One Piece, just give the One Piece card game a shot. Even if you just play the sim or anything, just give it a shot, because it is a really fun game. And I mean, this deck was amazing to play. I love this deck. I full confidence in saying that this is my main deck. When OP05 comes out again, I'm gonna be playing DOFFY. I'm gonna keep playing them. I'm gonna try to build the Doflamingo family deck, because I think there's some sauce there that's really good, and I think the deck can compete. I do also want to play. I mean, I always want to play other decks, obviously. Sakazuki looks good. I need to get my hands on Black Navy cards in order to play him. But he is a really good leader in OP05. Purple Luffy looks fun. Kind of, I mean, just basically balls to the walls, mana ramp, get to 10 Dawn as fast as possible, and then Gear 5 Luffy, lose all your Dawn, and then do it again. It seems fun. It's good, but I don't know. We'll see. But in the meantime, OP04, I donkey out to Doflamingo, film DOFFY, very good leader, very good deck. I absolutely love it. That was my deck list video. If you like the One Piece card game at all, you should follow the pod. You should listen to the podcast. Paramecia Fancast is the name of the podcast that you're probably seeing this channel on. Every single week, if you follow the manga, we cover the newest manga chapters, and we release episodes after the official release of the manga on Sundays. Like I said, this week you're seeing this video on the channel because there was no chapter. We were on a break. We'll be back next Sunday with the 1096 chapter, which is, oh boy, that's going to be a chapter. I have not gotten spoiled, but I have never seen my manga channel look like a redacted government document this badly before, so I know the chapter is going to be crazy. But yeah, if you like One Piece content, card game or otherwise, join the Discord, Paramecia Flower Capital. The link is in the description below of this video. You can find our podcast on every podcast app that you use: Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music. We're on all of them. On any of the media or on any of the platforms you follow us on, please give the show a like. If on YouTube, like and subscribe to the channel. I put out the videos every single week for the podcast, and even videos like this. If you like TCG specific content and just One Piece theories in general, link in the description down below. Go ahead and follow the second channel, Paramecia TV. That's where I'm mostly doing One Piece TCG sim videos, and I'm currently writing a One Piece theory video that I really like and I think is coming along good. So we got a lot of stuff going on. If you want to support us monetarily, patreon.com/Paramecia. If you're not able to support us monetary-wise, do not worry. Just liking, subscribing, engaging with the content on whatever platform you follow us on helps so much more than you might think. Abusing the algorithm is one way to help your favorite content creators prosper on these websites. Yeah, definitely your support is very much appreciated, monetary or otherwise. We thank you all so much. Other than that, yeah, we'll see you next week with 1096. I hope I've not been spoiled, but I hope no one dies. Peace.